Now I'm the one that gets to sit down.
Hey.
Hey.
What's going on?
Not much.
Well, I am Tim.
I'm Elaine.
And we are Mr. and
Mrs.
Movies. Thanks again for joining us. We are on episode 6. Thanks for taking the time out once again. We've had some people asking where are Mr. and Mrs. Movies and when are they coming back? We're here. It just took a little bit longer to do this episode as it's something a little bit special. Rather than just doing one of our top 3 list or a top 10 list, we thought it'd be fun to switch it up a little bit.
Ooh.
So we are actually going to be switching it over. A few days ago, we interviewed one of my dear friends and a working actor living in Los Angeles, Kevin. So we recorded that a couple days ago, and we're going to pop it off. So we hope you enjoy.
Cue the clip.
All right. We are here with the one and the only Kevin Michael Horton.
Woo!
There he is.
You know my middle name.
Kevin is a working actor living in Los Angeles. Also my former roommate. That's how I got to know him. But he is also a Minnesota boy.
Look at that.
So he has been out in Los Angeles since what year?
2006 is when I moved here.
6. That was the year I graduated high school.
We're going on 14 years. Way to go, Kevin. So we figured, we love movies. We've been diving into our top. We thought it would be fun to bring in a little bit of variety here. So we asked Kevin to hop on an interview here since we're all sitting around doing nothing, and he was gracious enough to join us. So
just chilling in the bunker in Burbank.
We're going to kick it off to you. If you wouldn't mind sharing maybe a 2-minute synopsis of your career as it is today.
So I'm originally from Shoreview, Minnesota. Go Shoreview. That's a suburb of northern St. Paul, in case you guys aren't from Minnesota. I started acting professionally when I was 11 years old. It was in a local spot for the Source Comics and Games. I was in a commercial for them. There was really bad CGI, and I grew into an adult, and then the adult went into his kid version, and I was looking through the comic book store. But that led to doing a bunch of local ads for Target, General Mills, Best Buy, that kind of thing in Minnesota. And then I went on tour with a Christian kids a cappella band called Go Fish. And I did kids comedy for a couple tours with them. And then when I graduated in 2005, I decided I was going to go to Los Angeles and pursue acting full time. So 2006, came out here and started doing film and TV. First thing I booked, I think, was CSI, Crime Scene Investigation. And I've done a lot of TV shows like Bones, The Middle, that kind of thing. I've done Disney and Nickelodeon. I was on Wizards of Waverly Place, Pair of Kings, Super Ninjas, and most notably, American Pie Presents the Book of Love. If you're counting, that would be the 7th movie in the franchise. I've also done a lot of other movies with numbers after them, oddly enough. I was in Atlas Shrugged 2 for Fox. I was in Route 33. And and obviously the Emmy-nominated Mega Python versus Gatoroid on Sci-Fi Channel with Debbie Gibson and Tiffany. And then a bunch of other commercials. I've done about, 75 commercials. Right. Currently the face of the UPS store.
Yes.
Thumbs up.
If you have seen the recent commercial that has the lady come through and ask
at a grocery
store and say, "Oh, I didn't know you guys did shipping," and then the guy lists what they do, and time passes, and the kid grows up in the cart. That's Kevin.
It's so good.
Yep. Grow a bigger beard than my bunker beard in the spot.
Oh, man.
Well, great. Given the experiences you've had, 15 years now in LA, longer just performing on stage, what's been your favorite accomplishment or biggest moment within your time in the industry?
Biggest accomplishment. I love anytime I get to improv. Improvise lines and improvise comedy. because that means the director trusts you. That means the writer trusts you to add to their work. Honestly, I think I came from theater, and the immediate response of laughter really drew me in to working in film and TV. But unless you're working in front of a live audience on like a multi-camera sitcom, kind of like Wizards of Waverly Place, you don't get that immediate thing. So I'd say the biggest accomplishment is when we have to stop filming because the camera operator is laughing so hard they're like jiggling the frame. That's when I know that I've done my job properly. And I think that's happened 2 or 3 times since I've been on set now, because those guys have seen a lot, and it takes a lot to get the crew to crack. And that's kind of the goal, and that's when you know you're like making magic. Say that again?
Well, it's because it's their job to not, because they have to be steady for that shot, and so
Yes.
if they
Yes, literally, they're called a Steadicam Operators. So if they're not steady, they're probably not going to get rehired.
The jiggy cam operator is busy today. Let's go with the steady cam operator.
Yeah, the blurry cam operator is the guy we're going to go with.
Well, kind of related to that, Elaine had a question regarding improv versus script.
Yes. Like, how much in everyday filming is like, percentage of pure script and the other part, ad lib kind of a thing?
Yeah, it kind of depends on the medium, and it depends on the writer or the creator. Most television that you're watching, because they're on such a tight shooting schedule, meaning they have to get like 13 to 14 pages shot in 6 hours because the lead guy's got to pick up his kids at 3 o'clock or something. They really want you to stick to the script as much as you can, because it has to be approved by the network. It has to be approved by the executives. It has to be approved by the distributor and all the people that have to approve a script for something like that. Features, you have a whole lot more wiggle room because you have a lot more time. You're shooting maybe 6 to 9 pages a day instead of, a more rigorous schedule. And I think because it's more intimate, you can really play with it more. But I mean, if you're hiring someone like Steve Carell, or you're hiring someone like, I don't know, Ed Helms, Jim Carrey, any of those guys that are like known to just riff, then they're going to let them go because they know they're getting magic in a bottle every time they're filming them. So it really depends on the actor, and it really depends on what kind of medium. I do a lot of commercials, and I would say 80% of what you see is improv in like funny commercials, because they're called comedic buttons, and those are usually like the punchlines or the reaction lines that you see in commercials. That kind of, it's the laugh before you go to the next commercial. And those are usually made up by the comedians that are in it.
Oh, because I was helping Tim one time with lines for a play he was in, and he would not use one of the words, but it was like a similar word, and I would be like, that's not the right word. Like, you got it mostly right. I mean, you had the right concept, but it wasn't the right word.
Yeah, and there's people like Aaron Sorkin, who's like extremely precious with his words. I mean, I think he's one of the greatest writers of our time, so it's understandable, but like, he doesn't want punctuation in places that he didn't put punctuation. And if you don't get it right, even when you do get it right with Aaron Sorkin, there's 90 takes. I don't know if you guys have watched the like behind the scenes of The Social Network, but it's terrifying. Literally 90 takes of every single angle.
For someone that's outside the industry, you and I were talking about this yesterday. I've mentioned to friends here in Minnesota that I used to work in LA as an actor, and I did it for 4 years, and they're like, "Oh, you must be famous." No.
Obviously, yeah.
Famous, who probably think that there's 14 people other than them that they would consider famous, and it's kind of like a stair step. So, from those from the outside, what's the most surprising or something that people wouldn't necessarily expect about working in the film industry?
I think the biggest misconception is the pay, to be honest. A lot of people think if you're seen by a lot of people, you make a lot of money, or just because you're a recognizable entity, that you're super rich. And unlike a lot of careers, it's not a ladder system. You're not just like gradually making more and making more. We work for something called scale, which is a negotiated rate by Screen Actors Guild, and that negotiated rate is just what everybody has to work on or work with for until you get to like a bankable superstar level, and you go from making, I don't know, 75 to 100K a year to 20 million a picture. There's really no, it just goes, rah! And I think, because I know a lot of working actors that you'd recognize that have side hustles. I think it would blow your mind the number of like TV stars that also do real estate in between gigs, because the side hustle it's just a good thing to have to maintain life out here, because it's so expensive to live in Los Angeles. If you have kids, it's even more intense because private schools out here cost more than some colleges. Our mortgages are just ridiculous. And yeah, I'd just say pay is the biggest misconception with people, because yeah, not everybody's baller in Los Angeles, that's for sure.
What within what people think of the film industry is exactly how it is?
Oh, all of the rejection. Like I feel like everyone knows it's hard, but they don't know how hard it is. For example, for a commercial, they get over 10,000 submissions for one role, and that role might pay $7,000 to $8,000. So you're literally interviewing for a job sometimes 15 times a week and being rejected solely for how you look, which is really, it's hard on someone's self-esteem if you're not grounded in identity and truth. Like, you really have to know who you are before coming into situations, because you're just going to get your self-esteem beat up a lot. And you just, yeah.
Would you say that's your least favorite part about working in the industry?
I think my least favorite part about working in the industry is, it's rejection and instability. I've become more adapted to instability, to the point where I really enjoy it. I love traveling and I love meeting new people, and the highs that you're on regular, like if you're on a press tour for a big movie, you're eating well, you're staying in 5-star resorts, you're flying first class, and then you go back to your studio apartment in Sun Valley and eat ramen again right after that. So there's some super big highs and super big lows. And again, you just got to remain grounded during that. And I think that requires having a group of like good friends, kind of like you guys. Tim, you were my roommate, man. You saw a lot of highs and a lot of lows. And I think, a good support system is really important if people want to come out here.
So, given that you've had such a wide and varied career, lots of experiences, worked with many different people, directors, TV, film, commercials, professional gigs, doing your own stand-up comedy, what's been your favorite medium to work in and through?
Yes.
I love features. I've done a lot of indie movies. I've done some studio movies. Feature films you can travel for. I love shooting on location because you get to know cities and you get to know towns and you get to see all the different cultures that America has. Like, I also love touring. So just because I love traveling, like I toured doing comedy and I've toured just shooting films. So anything that gets me out of Los Angeles and to a place where the magic of movie making is still magical. Because in Los Angeles, it becomes almost commonplace that you have a bunch of movie stars walking up and down the streets. That is something that a lot of people expect and is true. Like, you go to Burbank IKEA and you just see a bunch of TV stars with their kids. It's kind of weird, but yeah, I would say my favorite thing to do is feature films and then touring, doing either stand-up or some really cool theater.
And then, obviously, as a working actor in a pandemic, you're not necessarily working too much. So what are you doing right now to keep busy, to keep yourself honed and sharp? What are you submitting to? What's coming down the pike for you?
So the audition process has definitely changed in the past 10 years. It's like what you see in movies and TV about the audition process is not as accurate as it is now. Most auditions happen where you're literally putting yourself on tape in your own home, and you have to find a reader and lighting and all this other stuff to just get seen by a casting director. So because the whole casting system has changed, now it's easier to audition during a quarantine because we're all kind of used to what they call self-tape auditions. So everyone's asking for auditions for projects that are TBD dated. Like, we don't know when they're going to start filming or whatnot. I've been auditioning for some commercial projects, some TV projects, some film projects, and I do writing as well. So I've been writing a lot on a feature. I'm working on a heavenly comedy right now. It's a guardian angel buddy comedy. Yeah, staying sharp is a big thing, and I think the self tapes keep people sharp and keeps you, remaining in actor mode and remembering that you're here for something. It takes time, and you get to use your creative juices and at least get some sort of feedback from your reps or whatnot. God's been good. I've been able to sustain on a thing called residuals. Residuals are if you film something originally, like I have a commercial running right now for UPS. Every time they air it, you get paid a certain amount of money. So praise God for UPS airing right now, because that's what's getting me through the quarantine.
Every time we do a taping, we always do our top 3 of whatever genre or whatever we're talking about. So, Kevin, what are your top 3 favorite movies?
Of all time.
Of all time.
Of all time. I would say, I think Tim knows my number 1. So I'm a huge Muppet fan, like a ridiculous Muppet fan. Not normally a musical guy, but if it's a Muppet musical, count me in. And I think the best Muppet movie is Muppets Take Manhattan, because it shows the creative journey of having a creative vision and bringing it to fruition with your friends. So not only does Kermit get to produce a Broadway show that he's had in his mind the entire time, but at the end of it, he literally marries Miss Piggy. And you have the cast of Sesame Street on one side of the aisle and all of the like Muppet Show Muppets on the other side of the aisle, and it is absolutely magical. When I get married someday, I will have a Muppet-themed marriage. Not just wedding, marriage. My number 2, so a lot of people talked about the first time they saw Star Wars in theaters, and they were just blown away by all the special effects and the concept and how big it was. My Star Wars experience was actually while watching Lord of the Rings. I was just like completely immersed in a story, and all of the practical effects from the makeup on the Uruk-hai to just the gigantic epic battle scenes. That was when I watched magic happen on cinema, and I fell in love with that trilogy. And then I would say my third favorite is kind of why I'm out here. I was in Brainerd, Minnesota in July, and we went to the movie theater and saw Anchorman. And just in an audience of like, I don't know, 150 people were just like falling over laughing and crying. They were laughing so hard. It was like it was watching Will Ferrell and Paul Rudd and Steve Carell and Keckner always just like having fun with each other. And I think that's what Judd Apatow films really are good at capturing. He just kind of keeps the camera running, and you're just watching people enjoy each other and just make each other laugh. And I was like, that's what I want to do.
Yeah.
So yeah, Muppets Take Manhattan, Lord of the Rings, Anchorman.
Do you have anything else that you'd like to share? Being that, again, that you're an insider within the industry, lots of experience for those of us that love film. Anything that you'd like to have a parting thought, anything like that?
I would say if there's a certain group of filmmakers that you like, or if it's a TV show that you like, voice that. Voice that online. Make sure to reach out to the people, because I think this industry beats people up a lot. And encouragement is so welcome. Also, if you're like mentioning TV shows online and the network sees it, they know not to cancel those kinds of things because it runs off of money and because it runs off of viewers. The more of a response, the better. So like, and you like the audiences can change plot lines. They can literally make someone who is a one-day co-star on a TV show come back and become a recurring character because they realize that the audience loves them so much. So I think the audience needs to realize that they can really start dictating what they've seen on the screens. And if it's crap, turn it off, because we want good stuff to be made, you know? Stop watching the Kardashians and start turning on some good old-fashioned scripted content.
Wait. The Kardashians is not good? That's what you're saying to me?
Wow. I'm going to have to call Kim before this airs and apologize.
We need to pull the feed. That's...
You guys are ridiculous.
Well, Kevin, it has been a pleasure speaking with you. We really appreciate you taking the time. Obviously, we miss you.
Yes.
So it's been a nice...
Miss you guys too.
Just hear from you. But yeah, thanks for popping onto our show here. And I hope everyone watching had
Thanks for having me.
As good of a time as we did. And if you have questions for me or Kevin, feel free to pass them along.
Wow. Does Kevin have a lot to say, and he is totally awesome.
Well, yeah, I hope you enjoyed that. We faded out there a little bit. We ended up chatting for another 20, 25 minutes or so. We are not going to post the extended clip anywhere.
Hadn't seen him, talked to him in a while.
But it was a blast to have him. I hope you guys got something out of that as well. Mm-hmm. I learned some things, and like I said in the video, I spent 4 years out there. One thing you may have noticed from the start of this video and during the interview, I look a little different. Quarantine had got the best of me, and I decided to shave it. Elaine helped me out.
I was a little nervous.
So, literally, I think the night after we shot the interview, maybe the day after that, shaved it all off, and then went, oh yeah, we didn't shoot the intro or the outro yet. So here we are. Anyway, thank you for joining us. We appreciate it. Feel free to like, subscribe, share. Give us your comments, and feel free to share what you think we should do in the next episode.
Yeah.
Thank you.
See ya.